Hello and welcome, dear students, to this first session of Module 1 from Optional English Paper 1 for BA 5th semester. I'm Dr. Vijayalakshmi Nayak, Assistant Professor, GFGC and PG Center, Dharwad. And in this session, we'll be dealing with criticism, meaning and definition of criticism. Generally, the word criticism often means to find faults, to show someone's mistakes, or to show a kind of disapproval. But as students of literature, the act of criticism signifies something more, something deeper. Let us look at what it means in these sessions. Now, literature, whether poetry, drama, or fiction, can be enjoyed in two ways. You can either enjoy it as a layman haphazardly or enjoy it methodically as a trained person does. Now, in the first one, when you enjoy it as a layman, the enjoyment and the impression that it creates, its worth is very vague. You know you have enjoyed it, but can't really tell what is it that you have enjoyed. In the second, that is, when you enjoy it methodically or as a trained person, it is fully accounted for. You can tell what it is that makes a novel interesting. Is it the narrative style, the way the characters affect the reader, whether they are round characters or flat? Now, the trained reader can analyze what parts make it more interesting. Now, this second way of enjoying literature, this is called criticism. And a critic is an ideal reader. To analyze, to evaluate any work of art, whether it is a painting, a sculpture, or a film, or a novel, poetry, or drama. Any of these works, whether it's painting, sculpting, or film, all these will be called work of art. And to analyze and evaluate any work of art, that is criticism. It's criticism when you analyze and find both the pros and cons in it, not just fault finding. So I hope that is clear. Now, if criticism is as simple as finding pros and cons in a work of art, then why do we have so many theories on criticism? Is it such a difficult job? Let's find out in the following sessions why criticism can be so tricky. But before that, let's check out what critics have to say about criticism. Let's see the meaning and criticism. How is it defined by certain critics? Language and words are live. The meaning of words keep changing through the ages. Let's take the simple word mouse. It actually means a pest that creates havoc in the house, right? An animal. But in today's technical world, the mouse, which is more often used, means an instrument that is used for the computer or on your laptop. You click and you start using your computer, right? It is another matter that this mouse also can sometimes be a pest that can create havoc in our lives. Yeah. Okay. Now, like these uh, words, to understand the origin and the history or the journey of a word, that is called etymology. So etymology is nothing but uh, the origin and the journey of a word. Okay, so here let's see the etymology of the word criticism. It comes from the Greek word kritai, which means judgment. It is also derived from the French word critique, Critique, which has roots in Latin. Criticus, which means judge or someone who decides. Now these are French words. M.S. Nagarajan's book English Literary Criticism and Theory states that criticism is derived from the Greek root krinei, K-R-I-N-E-I, which means to judge, and the Greek root kritikos, Kritikos, means a judge of literature. The words critic and critical can be traced in the English language from mid 16th century, and the word criticism has been in usage in the English language from the 17th century. Critico is also the name of the pupil and friend of the famous Greek philosopher Socrates, and the mention of Critico is made by Plato in his work. Now, as stated earlier, uh, in the 21st century, the word criticism has come to mean finding faults, that is, having an objection or expressing dissent. But professionally, criticism um, is something much more specialized, and it is a technical matter. Now, criticism is the practice of judging the pros and cons of a work of art, we said. Uh, it is it is nothing but judging the merits and the faults of something objectively. And one who judges is a critic. Criticism is the study, evaluation, and interpretation of literature, art, work, film, and social trends to place it or to rank it within a particular genre. That also means criticism. Let's look at the definition of criticism given by some popular critics. The most popular and apt definition of criticism is given by Matthew Arnold. According to him, criticism is a disinterested endeavor to learn and propagate the best that is known and thought in the world. The endeavor in all branches of theology, knowledge, philosophy, history, art, science, to see the object as in itself it really is. That is nothing but to try to objectively understand and spread or impart the best that is known and thought in the world, irrespective of your own practice or politics. Okay. Now, T.S. Eliot's definition of criticism. But before that, let me just, there are two words, commentation and exposition. Commentation is another form of making comments. All right. Comment is to express opinions, and exposition is another word to say expose. All right. That is to reveal or to show. Criticism is the commentation and exposition of works of art by means of written words. The end of criticism is the elucidation of works of art and the correction of taste. So it is criticism is nothing but to express your opinions and to show, or reveal the work of art by means of written words. That is criticism. And what is the final objective of criticism? It is to clarify or clear or to explain the work of art and to correct the taste of the age. Okay, and then we have Sainsbury's definition. Criticism busies itself with the goodness and badness, the success or ill success of literature from the purely literary point of view. But amongst all of this, I think the definition by Oxford Dictionary is the best because it makes everything very clear, okay, as to what criticism is. It is the work or activity of making fair, careful judgments about the good and bad qualities of something or somebody, especially books, music, or on authors or painters. Yeah, I think it is very clear over here. So let's move on to the next one. Literary criticism. Let's see what it is. Now, literary criticism refers to a genre of writing whereby an author critiques a literary text, either a work of fiction, a play, or poetry. So, the important thing over here is it is a genre of writing. Written comments or opinions about a literary work, a novel, that is literary criticism. Literary criticism is essentially opinion which is supported by evidence. You cannot just say anything. It has to be there in the work of art for you to tell it is so and so. Okay? And it should be relevant to the theme, the style, and the setting, or the historical or political context in which the work of art has been written or done. Now, the purpose of writing a critique is to evaluate somebody's work, irrespective of whether it is a book, an essay, a movie, even your OTT platforms, all those, in order to increase the reader's understanding. So, the critic is a medium between the work of art and the reader or the audience. Modern literary criticism is often influenced by literary theory, which is the philosophical discussion of literature's goals and methods. And these literary theories seem to be very complicated and very, tricky, but actually they help in making criticism as a discipline, the criticism as a discipline. uh, these theories help it make much more simpler and more scientific and empirical. We have to understand that. Now that we have understood criticism and literary criticism, let's see uh, some definition of a critic. Okay, we have already stated that a critic is an ideal reader. Okay, I.A. Richards says, to set up as a critic is to set up as a judge. So, critic is someone who judges or evaluates a work of art. Now, Walter Pater says to feel the virtue of the poet or the painter, to disengage it, to set it forth, are the three stages of a critic's duty. What is it? To feel the virtue of the poet, to understand the good points of the artist, that to disengage it, make it much more objective, and to show it or reveal it to the audience or the readers. Those are the three stages of a critic's duty. Okay. Now, what are the qualities of a critic? Some important qualities are: a critic must be a man of sound common sense, understanding taste, and clear thinking. Until he has a clear thinking, he cannot understand, right? So that is very important, and he should have sound common sense, which is a must for everything, I think. Yeah. A critic must be widely read. Should have He should be an ardent reader, a vociferous reader, and he should understand uh, a lot of work to make judgment on somebody else's work, right? Now, a critic must rise above all prejudices. That is, he cannot be subjective. He has to be objective, and he has to keep his own personal preferences aside and make objective opinions and present it to the readers or the audience. A critic must have imaginative sympathy. So what does imaginative sympathy mean over here? He should have a sympathy or an empathy towards, he has to try to understand what the artist or the writer is trying to say. So he should have that empathy towards that writer and to his imagination. Okay. A critic must also possess sound knowledge of human psychology. This is a must. It goes without saying after the previous quality of a critic, right? That psychology is something, without understanding the psychology, human psychology, you cannot go forward as a critic.
So finally, we have come to the end of this session. I have some quite simple multiple choice questions here for you. So please go through them before moving on to the next session. Thank you.